Well, as you can see, I am back in Seattle, back in my own home. It's kind of nice to be back, though it's a little sad. Just got off the FaceTime with my son and his daughter. It's lovely. It's very different to not be there. So I would like to stick with our format here and have kind of the report from the week first. And I did something quite different in the meditation. And honestly, I didn't really plan it. It just sort of came to me. And so I'm also interested in what you noticed, what you experienced in that meditation today. So either thing is fair game. And I see that you're unmuted, Tanis, but I think that might be an accident. Did you want to speak, or because it was unmuted when I finished the meditation? I don't actually even see the right frame where you're at. Oh, there you are. She's not even in the frame. Okay, I think it's probably a mistake. So I'm going to silence her. All right. So anyone else? What did you notice in that meditation, and what have you noticed this week? Leslie.
So I wanted to comment on what Virginia spoke about at the end of our class last week, which was walking downtown and people asking for money.
Yes.
I had realized a while ago that it didn't feel good to me to just pass these people by. And I thought, well, what can I do? And then it just came to me, not planning ahead, but the next time I saw someone, I just said, bless you. Or sometimes I go like this, or sometimes I say, have a good day. And it feels really good to me to recognize them and know that I'm not ignoring them, because that's what felt really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And many of them say to me, bless you, which surprised me at first, but it happens again and again, and it just feels really good. So I wanted to share that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the basic humanness.
Yeah, and recognizing it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Recognizing the other person.
Seeing them in their humanness, and hey, there's a being there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what I was talking about last week about the stranger, how mind creates this category of people we don't know, or people who are different from us we don't understand. And it's a mind constructed thing. And your bless you just kind of steps out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or
Beautiful.
have a good day. Just something, you know?
Something. Yeah.
And in regard to what you did tonight, it was very special. I don't even have words for it, but it put me in touch with something very special.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Jim.
So, the wasteland of my memory, a lot of times ill thoughts come up about people in my past who have given me a hard time. And there were these two brothers in my school, elementary school up through high school, always gave me a hard time. And every time I think about them, I just have ill feelings. And recently I started softening around these two characters when I realized that they were brought up in a very large household. Their mother worked all their time. Their father was an alcoholic and rarely worked. And it just gave me a little more perspective and, I guess, compassion for them and for the reasons why they really did what they did.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good.
Great.
Yeah.
Along the lines of hurt people, you know?
They do.
They do. Exactly. And I also, while you're, viewing them differently, take a little time with yourself too, when that sort of ill will comes up, that there's a hurt kid in you that had to endure that through school.
Yeah.
And he needs that too. He needs your soft heart.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. And that way we kind of move out beyond this sort of circle of our consciousness that just kind of revolves inside in a certain way when we see others with that more open view of, okay, you behave this way and there's a reason for it. There's a cause.
Yeah.
And, and I have this ill will come up and there's a cause. And somehow there's a shift in consciousness that's happening there. Something's getting bigger. Something's getting more inclusive. Something's getting less kind of centered in just one experience. And that's beautiful. Okay, thanks, Jim. So anyone else who'd like to comment on the meditation or comment on what they're noticing this week? We particularly introduce the stranger and the enemy as those categories. And like who showed up if in your week, and what was that like? Jennifer.
Yes.
Then JP.
A couple of weeks ago, our daughter was coming back from school, and I couldn't find her car key, and there was only one. And so anyway, I needed to use the car also because we needed the car. So anyway, I ended up calling all these companies to get a car key made because I didn't know what I would do. And this company calls me back, and it sounds like they're from India, like across the world. And a couple other people called me back, and they said, it would be $300 to get a key and all this. Anyway, this one guy calls me back, and he sounds very foreign. And he says, I can come over in 10 minutes and get you a key. And everybody else was like, I need to see your license and all this stuff. Anyway, I said to the guy, well, are you legit? And he started laughing, and he goes, no one's ever asked me if I was legit. And I said, well, I don't know. Are you? Like, how are you going to come over and just make a key and turn my car on? So anyway, he comes over and he jumps out of the car. He goes, I'm legit. And he was so funny. And I asked him where he was from, and he said, Israel. And I said, well, that's interesting. We got into a conversation, and he got the car working, and he was just so sweet. And he looked at me and goes, I would like to be your friend. And I said, he said something about, I just like your energy. You would be a good friend. And I just loved paying him to do his service. And it was so fun. And, he said, if you want an extra copy, you can text me and get a legit car key. But anyway, I was very much not thinking that would go well. And it was really sweet. And that was my stranger.
There you go.
Yeah, it was great. It makes me laugh.
The assumptions the mind made were completely wrong.
Yeah, it was sweet. So that's my story.
Hey, thank you. It's a beautiful story. All right, JP.
Yeah, I with all the exercises and reminders to myself and trying to be kinder and expressing goodwill if I had an opportunity, as well as in the practice and in the sits. And just backing off and away from it a little bit, I noticed that I was becoming the object of some of my own kindness. And I was saying, well, how do you know that? And because of the repetitive things that I criticize myself for, and some even lifelong things, but more minor things or more things in my everyday presence. I was sensing a reminding myself of forgiveness, and then at other times and other circumstances, I would be aware of acceptance of a lousy aspect of myself. And then so tonight, focusing more on the heart in that meditation, I was at the time you were directing us to our chest and our heart, and it was feeling quite peaceful there and quite quiet. And you mentioned the vastness this time, and you have referenced that term also in the past. And I haven't had that sense. I don't have a sense of vastness, but I do have a sense of the quiet and the stillness and the space in my lingo in that area. So it's so helpful to have it pointed out and be reminded over and over of that, because it's quite a mystery to me.
I'm happy to put you in the presence of mystery. Yeah.
Yeah.
What that stillness right at the heart of your heart is.
Yeah.
Yeah, spaciousness, stillness. There's a third word you used. What was it? Can't recall, but
maybe quiet. I'm not
quiet.
sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's easy to overlook this this dimension of the heart. I mean, often, when we use it in ordinary language, we're talking about feelings of affection or alienation, kind of concrete feelings towards concrete people. And the meditation, or the words of the meditation, were trying to point out the container of that the heart is, rather than this particular concrete feeling we associate with the heart, which is certainly associated with the heart, but there's this other thing that's subtler, that as you identify it, you can start to rest in it. You can start to let that be a little more what is moving through the world. I can put it that way.
Even you're using the word container helps to ascertain the vastness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, one of the analogies, I don't know that I've used it for a while, but it's one of my favorites, is that the heart is sort of like the space in the room. And it doesn't actually object to anything that walks into it. It reflects it perfectly, and it doesn't resist any more than the space of the room resists. Maybe the air pressure resists just slightly, but the space itself actually doesn't.
No.
And that's this sense of calm. That's this sense of presence itself that the heart is. Even as there are these states that are arising and passing in the heart, sometimes we're grumpy, sometimes we're open-hearted, and these things, they all these sorts of different states pass through us as beings. But there's this fundamental stillness and spaciousness to our being. It's just subtle. So Lynn, go ahead.
Thank you for this wonderful meditation. I always appreciate your taking us through, the body and connecting us in that kind of way, the body scan. And today you were like using the language of light and directing it into places, shaft of sunlight to the heart. And it was just, I was already, able to just go into the settling, and then bringing light in it through the guidance was really powerful. And I sometimes have this experience profoundly, but I did today about how I get a lot of heat going. My body gets super warm. That was going on today,
Yeah.
And I guess it's coming from the meditation, and I
It
don't know if
is.
it's coming from release or what. And yeah, it was like, oh, I'm so hot.
Felt that too.
Yeah. And I've
Got
had that
really
happen
hot.
before, like, oh, yep. So, and I don't feel it. It was the meditation, because I'm not feeling as much now. But so that was one thing. And then I think somebody was saying it earlier about remembering someone from childhood who was always abusive, and then thinking about really going larger and thinking about what their life was like. And it really reminded me of the thing I remembered all week from your teaching last week about standing in line behind someone, and maybe they do something that is hitting your annoyance, and that you can go there to think, again, I guess kind of using the word vast, like what a vast life of mystery or something that they have right in front of you that you do not understand. And I think that's a really powerful thing for working with when we're just involving differences with someone, that we just need to understand we're all these mysteries that we're walking around with in a way that's so beautiful, even though we're running up against an annoyance or a real anger or an enemy, So thank you for the teaching.
You're welcome. Yeah. So the heat is a real thing. It happens sometimes. I got it quite intensely back in the 80s. I don't really anymore that I heat up meditating. I don't know what it is. There's a word for it, tapas. It's thought to be purifying you in some way, but again, that's just an idea in my head. I don't know that very directly, but I thought I'd just, validate that happens. Heating up in meditation, that happens. And it's probably a good thing. And yes, I love that image of going larger with your consciousness, that there's a way that we can kind of stay rather self-absorbed in our viewpoint of, who this person is relative to me right now. But when we go large, in a sense, we're like becoming the space in the room. That's partially what I mean by the heart is also the space in the room. The heart is also this larger space to inhabit, where you can acknowledge the mystery of the person in front of you in line. You can acknowledge the person who's annoying you is a complex being who wishes to be happy and is trying their darndest to do so, regardless of how it comes across to you, or regardless of how unskillful it might be, just from any point of view of discernment. That's the going large. That's the the broader viewpoint that we're capable of. And I think, initially it's very conceptual, but the conceptual nature of it kind of opens up the real view. The reality follows the concept of it. The idea, you tell yourself, I don't know this person in front of me. They are a complete mystery, and they're a vast mystery, in fact. of so much human experience. And you start talking to yourself that way, and lo and behold, your heart relaxes. Lo and behold, you actually find yourself standing in that different place of consciousness, that that purer view, which is actually more accurate. But it can start with the seed of just talking to yourself, giving yourself a concept that helps you lift out of our more automatic self-absorption.